Hey y'all, Camila Laurentine coming to you from the blog Fox Glove Informatus and is the co-creationist of Roman Revivalism. I will put links to both of those blogs down below so you can check them out if you haven't yet. Today I'm going to talk to you about not Roman Revivalism, but Revivalism as a whole and a overarching movement and way of approaching polytheism and paganism together. It is a moderate middle path that falls between pure reconstructionist polytheism or paganism and pure personal gnosis-based practice or eclecticism. Together, those fuse can make sort of a spiritual alchemy. We take the highly cerebral academic with the groundworking spirit-led practice that's intuition meeting academia and fusing it to make revivalism. Included with that is an acceptance that the gods lead us and communicate their will, and also that the gods love us and wish to foster many different types of relationships with us. Leading into that is the next point, which is the right to personal autonomy and home practice. That is, working with the gods eventually moves you to personal gnosis of your own. In the times between when these religions were a majority to now when they are a revived minority, these religions would have changed if they'd been uninterrupted. Because these are in the kind of cradle of redevelopment, we need to accept that others on the path may not have the same understandings as our own, because we don't have a lot of community leaders or a lot of people talking about what they are experiencing. We don't have large groups for group experiences. So each of us comes to the table with a different understanding of a religion, even if we are learning from the same source books. This means that we have to accept that we may not believe everything that is shared, but we may find something within someone else's personal gnosis that means something to us. This spills out into small group autonomy. Within Roman Revivalism, the ideal right now that we're working towards is finding a base platform of cohesive larger group work where one person from Boston could meet up with a group from LA and they will find that center ground where they all understand what's going on in a ritual. That doesn't mean that they have to be doing the same type of ritual at home. The Roman religion had private rights and state rights, and while they tended to mirror each other, they didn't necessarily have to. And that's kind of one of the gifts that the Romans have given polytheism that a lot of people don't talk about, because a lot of people just don't talk about Roman polytheism. The next point I'd like to talk about, which you'll have to excuse me, I'm looking at my notes so I don't ramble like I tend to. I did this video before and talked for an hour, so I'm trying to kind of keep this one short. The next talking point is immersive versus devotional polytheism. We don't tend to try to consider ourselves devotional polytheists in the group that's working on talking more about revivalism. We tend to try to be what I like to call immersive polytheists or pagans, and that's striving to include the gods in our daily lives. The home rites are very, very important to me. I offer and pray and talk throughout the day to my gods. That doesn't mean that I stop doing what I'm doing. It's just that I include them in my daily life. I pray while I'm brushing my teeth. I offer any food that's fallen on the floor, because that's part of the Roman faith towards the worship of the Lares, or the honoring of the Lares. that is one of the other gifts of Rome, is the mutually beneficial relationships with the gods. The gods don't want us to kill ourselves worshiping them or honoring them, because there aren't enough of us to do it. You don't have to let your practice consume your entire life. The gods will happily come in and share your life with you. The danger of self-sacrifice, which is really the basis of the word devotion. I'll make another video on that to talk about it more. But I consider that the danger of self-sacrifice becomes hubris, which removes us from the gods. Avoiding hubris is one of the moral character traits that I personally try to follow. And that's another thing within revivalism, is learning to embrace a moral character. Embracing the values of our varied faiths, striving to be a good person and to not be terribly warlike or argumentative or prideful. I feel like it's really important that while we are worshiping and we are honoring and we are developing our cultists, that we consider the philosophy of right action and what that means in relation to our varied religions. With that, I think most people can agree that social justice is important. At least I hope that they can. That would be a call to examine our privilege and figuring out ways to find equilibrium within our communities. I think the greatest gift we can give to our fellow Polytheists and Pagans in our community is listening to those who are not privileged, and listening, just being quiet and actually listening, and not saying, the internet meme of not all men, not all white people, not all straight people, not all cisgendered people. The minorities can come to the table with complaints about us as a whole, and it may not include us personally. I think that's a really important thing for our communities to learn, because there just are not enough of us sticking up against each other. We really all need to be working together, which means that we all have to learn how to listen to each other. That includes gender, age, sexual orientation, race, physical and mental differences. I can't name a single person within my social circle that doesn't have at least one place where they are not privileged. I myself, right now, I'm pretty poor. I'm bisexual. I have a history of physical and mental illness. I'm technically disabled, though that's hard for me to prove to the state right now because I just got diagnosed. I feel that it's really important for us to embrace social justice and do what we feel is right, and do this as a service to the greater community, as an offering to our gods, accepting that our gods love everybody, and they want to be honored by everybody that is willing to honor them. With that is the understanding that we need to be more inclusive with our gatherings and our training. This is another point. Well, I'll talk about all of these things more in detail with each list point in later videos. Today I just wanted to do the general outline for you. The inclusive gatherings and trainings, I would like to see scholarships for clergy training and festivals and like physical location conventions. But at the same time, I think that we need to realize that our community, the way it's working right now, is capable of shutting out people who are unable to travel for whatever reason. And that includes speakers and teachers. We need to figure out ways that we can come to the table and talk as a group and learn from each other as a group in ways that aren't going to giant conventions or going to training programs or any of these things. I think that one of the main ways we can do that is internet conferences, which I think I'm a member of the size acceptance and body acceptance movement. And one of the great things I've been seeing is that they've been able to do a lower cost internet conference for those who can't travel, and you'll get like 30 speakers, and you can watch any of the videos and live conferences that they have going on. And as a person coming to watch and interact with these things, it costs like $30 as opposed to $300, $400, $500, on and on and on, that I would have to get for going across the country on plane, figuring out daycare for my daughter. I could sit and listen to people very happily and would be willing to pay $30 to get that chance to watch an internet class. I think a lot more people need to be embracing this technology. Our community has grown because of this technology, and we need to continue in that manner. Finally, the second to last talking point I have for Revivalism is the organization of social services. That is maintaining a list of trained professionals for those who are polytheist and pagan friendly. A lot of times we have people who need mental health help or need shelter from an abusive spouse, or they've run out of food. It would be really, really great if we had our network of people that, hey, you can go to this person safely and you don't have to worry about them trying to convert you or, thinking that you're crazy because you believe in a god or a goddess who isn't, of the majority. These people are really needed. We need to find them. We need to be maintaining lists of them. We need to be recommending them to people so people are getting the help that they need when they come seeking it. And this is something that leadership needs to be doing for the community. That includes possibly for the larger groups in places where there are larger populations, taking up funds to help local families in need. What happens if a polytheist family has their house burned down? Like, we should be able to help those in need. That is, again, something that we can give back to the community in a larger sense, too. I know that, it's hard work and it's not always accepted within the community as a whole, but I think that there are groups out there doing this work that we all need to emulate. We all need to be finding a way to give back. The reason why partially is because it will allow people to see that we are normal, regular people. We have morals that align with the greater community. We are part of the community, and we need to be, stepping up to the plate and giving back to the communities that we take from. Another Roman thing is that towns have their own spirit and their own gods. And I feel that the organization of social services and helping people with those services is really the best way we can serve and honor the gods that are local. Finally, the last talking point before I sign off for the day, or at least for this video, is the rebuilding of temples, which is a really lofty goal. But I know people get it done. And I myself am hoping one day to build a temple and a working temple. And I think the thing I wanted to speak on with this is not only do we need to be rebuilding the temples and taking, once again, our rightful place within a community that is in a nation, at least in America, that is plural, and we're supposed to have the right to worship freely and openly if we so choose. We need to have those in the leadership positions, the clergy, and those helping build these temples, training in not-for-profit business basics. Far too often I see groups open up something and then close shortly after because they don't know how to sustain it. That includes training the leadership for intrapersonal skills. And learning basically how to be clergy. The importance of self-sufficiency, though, is that I think most temples can find a way to support themselves that doesn't rely purely on the back of their members. I myself am planning on having a working farm around my temple, and I'm hoping that the farm funds will sustain the temple and the services that it is going to provide to others, including feeding the hungry. So these are things we need to be thinking about, how temples are going to provide services to people who may not worship, but we can help at least teach them that we're not out to sacrifice virgins and worship the devil. So I guess that's really it for the day. I'm kind of fading here, and I'm at the bottom of my list. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on what I've said today, and I will go ahead and sign out. Thank you for listening. May you have a blessed day.